I think CSGO is more tactical than just shooting.
It's a very strategic game. Communication is very important in my eyes.
The decision you make, the things you say, the information you give.
To talk what you see, to say what you hear. Then I'm an in-game leader, I need to have the information.
Information is everything in CSGO.
He has all the pieces he needs in order to establish himself as one of the greatest in-game leaders of all time. An awful lot of experience being an underdog, an awful lot of experience rebuilding teams, and also a bit of experience, being on top.
I think personally for me, it made a lot of sense to go the international route. When I was in Astralis and we played good, but didn't work out in the end. And thinking about my career and what makes sense. FaZe Clan came with an incredibly good offer in that sense. They want to win the major. They see me as the guy to lead them.
tabseN right now is to be considered as one of the best in-game leaders out there in terms of how he sets up big, in terms of how he plays as an individual.
I'm a type of leader who wants to achieve a lot of things. But I cannot just win by myself. I need people around me who have the will to win the games, who want to achieve something big, and this is something which drives me more.
Go down, Robin.
Push double together.
Yeah, no, don't move. I'm gonna go up heaven at 25.
One more, donut. Main, cookie.
Information in CSGO is one of the most, if not the most important thing.
The better the communication is, the better view you have in your head, the better you can explain what is happening within the round.
Weil du hast ja auch nie eine zweite Rifle, die mit dir ist, wenn du schießt, weißt du?
How do you express yourself? How do you explain problems you see in the game?
Smoke red, random. Let's go fast, eh? Smoke deep sea to someone.
Sometimes in IGL you make blind calls because you don't have enough information from teammates, and that's always the hardest part about being IGL.
Two guys, that should be two guys more.
Outside us.
I think we had some communication issues. Couldn't really close the rounds, and it was a strange game from our side. We weren't reacting to the information we had. It happens now and then that we are not on the same page and not reacting and playing the way we're supposed to.
You're doing good, boys. You're lifting, doing this as a team is pretty good. Okay, let's try to stay positive, even though we lost some shit rounds. Let's focus on the positivity.
And the mood just suddenly went.
When I got into coaching FaZe, I was shocked to see how the communication was in the beginning. I come from a Swedish team. I played 1.6, and one of our strengths was the communication. And it's something that I really spent a lot of time on trying to improve.
Coffin, city.
Flashing opening.
Coffin first.
Yeah, I will right click now. Pull that. Boom! Two more maybe, careful two more.
Dark triple.
Triple.
That. CT one.
Watch that runes close. I'm blind, coming through. Through. The one HP.
Unlucky.
I think you lose the best of one to a random team if you have bad chemistry and bad communication, because you as a player, you react on information you have.
Rotate back B.
It's definitely difficult if you have bad chemistry and bad communication in your own team. You're gonna feel bad about everything you do and everything your teammates are doing. It's gonna feel like hell.
That's a call that they're gonna repeat.
And I always feel like an IGL, you need 5 eyes, 5 set of eyes, right? From a higher perspective. When I play, I move myself above my screen. I have to understand what's happening on my screen and the information I have. And if I have no information, I can only base my call on what I see. That's why I sometimes have to ask questions. And when I do that during a game, that's because the communication is not on point. Something international team is working every day on. So yeah, that's the most important thing, to keep the communication as good as possible.
Ja, ich muss euch erinnern, dass sie nicht mit dem
If you have very bad communication and chemistry, it's like one of your winning conditions are dropped out. For IGL, it's very important you have all the time all the information on the map, so the map is not dark. If you have the rhythm of information flowing, like the blood flow, then everything is good. The IGL has like easier decisions.
For me as an in-game leader, the better communication is, the easier it is to call. And being on the same page within the game, it's very, very important to understand each other. The benefit of talking a native language is definitely that you can impress yourself much better, that you understand each other much better. The better the communication is, the better view you have in your head, the better you can explain what is happening within the round.
If your communication is always on a good level, not too hectic, your tabseN, like he underlines it and says then when it gets too hectic, guys calm down a bit, this will help us more than just shouting around.
Josef, bitte herkommen. Ja. Nice. Ruhe!
Sandbags einer, Sandbags.
Und Twist. Sandbags und einer Twist. Sandbags immer noch, Jungs.
Sandbags, Jungs. Sind fighten, Leute.
Sandbags, ja. Aber passt auf, Twist, da ist nicht gesmoked.
Twist down.
Sandbags noch. Sandbags. Nice try.
We've had some games now also on Blast where we've played, for example, against G2, and where I felt like my communication, also from my teammates' communication, were really hectic, were not really thoughtful. And obviously the louder and the more faster we speak, the more hectic the general situation is. So it's for us really important that we have a system which we can rely on, that everyone really understands the point of playing CS in the German team.
Wenn du dann schlecht, wenn er dann heidet und er dich dann tötet, ist das schlecht von ihm.
Ja, ist okay,
aber wir müssen halt vertrauen. Und ey, Judith, wir brauchen ein bisschen mehr Power von dir, ein bisschen mehr Voice, ja? Und wir müssen einfach ein bisschen besser hitten. Okay? Die haben nichts Besonderes gemacht. I think the German way of Counter-Strike is definitely teamwork, playing smartly with your equipment, trying to understand the trading system, I would say, and a little bit more slower than you might think.
It's a very thoughtful process. It's not really based on luck, it's not very based on randomness. I'm grateful that I worked with a lot of good leaders and a lot of good persons who made a lot of good impact on my career.
I mean, we felt definitely in big the lack of talent in Germany, for sure. That's why we also went for an international team, searching for new talents like Smuja or Xantares.
I believe it's very difficult to have more players with different nationalities, since they grew up differently, obviously had different mentality, how to learn things, and being on the same page within the game, it's very, very important to understand each other. It's really hard as well for you to always maintain the concentration, that you always need to speak a different language. Like, be concentrated that you not do a mistake for someone else. It can work, but it's a really hard task for sure.
The biggest difference between international team and domestic team, I'm seeing things in the same way and talking things out. If you have an international team, I feel like you need to have more set stuff. So that's why karrigan is doing so great, being an international IGL, because he's very good in keeping things, I would say, easy for his teammates, but make it very hard to read him.
I think we got so used to CSGO being a national team, and I think everybody who played Pro CS knew that communication is really important, right? And the first one was done as like misfits of other countries. So it was started from like who didn't have a space in the national scene. But as time changes, I also think the perception of international team changed. And people always said like international communication, when it gets really tight, it gets worse. And that's true, but you have, if you create a consistent level in communication, you're able to compete with the best teams. And I think we were the ones to do it in FaZe Clan. When we got Olaf and Guardian, who's two big player names who left Navi and who left Fnatic to join FaZe Clan. That's where I realized international teams are here now if you start winning trophies. I think it's always hard to explain myself as a leader. What I try to be is a very motivating leader, trying to be innovative.
The uniqueness of his style, I think, is definitely, we can play very systematic Counter-Strike, but the way he's able to adapt, like in the middle of the rounds, I think is just world class, and he puts together a puzzle throughout the game.
I think the international teams that really do good, I think they have a special synergy. I think they have special players, special ideas, special coaches. I think Robban is one of a kind. The way he talks with mistakes, the way he can come to talk to me face to face as a friend.
It's been hard in the beginning of the last lineups to like have one way of how to play and how to go, and now we have the same goal. Like me and karrigan is working good together. We see the game the same way. I would say that we have a very good mix of players. We have great chemistry, and everyone have the winning mentality in this team. Everyone really wants to win.
I think what I have learned doing my period as an IGL and international team to have key words. Because sometimes when you are in a chaotic situation, you fumble with words. The funny thing about language is, in something I'll say in Danish, if I translate directly to English, the sentence would not make sense. So to improve and shorten the communication in English, we have done key words like, instead of me saying run before the smoke pops, I just say surprise, execute. Or if you have a situation where you're behind an enemy, we say gap, and you let the guy play the round and you see what gap he's creating for the team. But like in 13 rounds, 14 rounds on stage, the communication is not the best, but you have to get used to it. And like I said, if you improve every day, then at some point it's going to be better and better, right? It's never going to be perfect, but you can almost reach that level.
I think big is really, really, really important to the German scene. As I've seen, many German organizations don't really believe in German CS anymore.
Without big, I don't think there would be much of a Counter-Strike scene in Germany at all.
I believe we are one of the main reasons why German Counter-Strike has still have fans. They identify with us, they like to cheer with us, they feel the same what we feel. Hopefully, really hope that we will have some talents where they can shine up and put some fire into the nation.
I think tabseN is the type of leader that he tries to inspire people by being a role model for himself, showing his fire, his passion about the game.
I've known him for like many years, like a big brother to me, and yeah, he's helping everywhere he can.
And this is something I really love, being around people who makes me feel good, who are always laughing when I'm around, who gives me some motivation to just do what I love. I'm just a loyal guy and I want to give them what they deserve. And if I deserve to hopefully win a major one day, they definitely do it as well.
I think the second stint in FaZe is probably coming down to me being a better leader. The first year in FaZe was tough. I knew I had to rebuild. I improved myself by having a stronger leadership, have a stronger voice. I think also my wife created a really good stable mentality for me and improved me a lot, just not only my private life, but also how I think about the game. The chemistry, the communication we have still sometimes can improve a bit better. But the understanding of each other, of the overall picture of the round, when we play our best, we play really good.
karrigan's success, well, is a lot due to hard work, because I know that he is one of the most hardworking guys I've ever played with. He's like the godfather of IGLing in international rosters. I think he has, kind of paved the way.
I think the best thing about the international team is that the regions that will not have a top 20, top 10 team in the world will be able to succeed in their career if they have the right mentality, they have the right skill set. And I think about players like Nico. He was the first super talent to come out of a region who didn't really have a team, and then you saw a player like robban, come up, and now you see Brokey, and you see a lot of these players who come up through the FPL or academy teams. I'm happy we were the front runners of that in FaZe Clan to show the world that no matter where you're from in the world, if you're good enough, you get a spot at FaZe Clan.